Okay. So CJ is a pick me. Good. He should be. Apparently, you missed it. Now, you said your brother graduated from Harvard Law School 10 years ago, and I'm going to tell you, if he knew about IBMOR or SYSBM back then, he should have talked smack when he graduated. CJ King wasn't screaming for attention from the black women that didn't pick him, like you say. He was putting them on notice. He did what they said men should and avoided what they said men should avoid. If he doesn't even pass the bar exam, he still has some things he could do with his degree, but what he cannot do is afford to listen to your magic practicing behind, which involves demon worship by definition, even if you want to say it's something else. If excellence was not praised in your upbringing the way that evil is blamed, then that means that there was an imbalance in your upbringing, which may be why you're turning to, energies and things like that to try to help you. You just call them energies, I know, but I know what they are. And you know what? If Jay Prince didn't teach jazz ahead of time, then the fact is Jay Prince screwed up even if it was an accident. So Jazz's mistake was due to a lack of options because of something that was not told to him before. And in the end, men must tell these young guys exactly what they're... No. In the end, we men must tell these young guys exactly what you're telling us not to tell these young guys about the Western women. You call it brainwashing when we try to tell them. And then you call it truth when you tell it, because you want to tell them the truth and the terms and conditions and tell them that they just have to deal with it. We want to tell them the truth about the terms and conditions and tell them they got options and don't have to deal with it, especially because they can't offer such a bad deal and be accepted. But they're supposed to take one. So you and I both know that the Wicked Witch of the West is not going to tell even her own sons. And that even many non-wicked witches, non-wicked witches are the ones that wouldn't even tell their own sons. They may just say nothing at all, but many wicked witches of the West will even lie to their own sons and nephews and brothers about what women want. Now, you said it doesn't matter what degrees a man has, but most of us learned from our own mothers and aunts and cousins and sisters differently. So if the degree a man doesn't have can count against him, then we have the right to assume that the degrees we have should count for us, especially when she's busy toting her degrees to count in her favor. Even though we never said that was the case. And he knows he knows it doesn't count. He just simply put them on notice, like I said. He did what he was supposed to do. And he's not trying to control the choices they make, but he is saying that, frankly, he will control what outcomes they cannot get from him and other men like him. He's not the only one either. He knows, obviously, that other men are onto this. So you think he was speaking only for himself? Well, that phrase, I am the prize, means he knows about the other guys who are on the same platform, because we've been saying that before he put up this post. Either they act like what they said they wanted and approach him, or he becomes available to non-black women. And in Houston, if that's where he's from, like Jay Prince and Jazz are, then there are African women and Southeast Asian women that actually like black men more than they like white men in some cases. He has options. I wouldn't say what he said the way he said it, and I wouldn't dress like he does, and I wouldn't have had the same hairstyle if I still had hair. But I would have the same conditions for any Wicked Witch of the West. And I'm talking just sisters, because Amber and Becky and Karen don't get a shot at all. So for the Western sisters, I would have had the exact same conditions. Compete for me or lose me to some non-AA women who will do what the hell I say. And frankly, no, I'm not going to study and bust my behind in law school just to be told later that it's not about the sex, or even that it's not just all about the sex. Because when Bonquisha wants me to be responsible, but she still cheats, it's about the sex. And let's call it what it is. I don't have to be ugly or fat or anything else. I don't have to be lame or goofy. Simply being a normal man increases my chances drastically of being cheated on dealing with these Western broads. It's about the sex. You say we can't fight biology, but guys like us don't give a guck about what their instincts are, unless we were told from young ages by them about what these instincts are. We weren't told at a young age coming out the gate, so therefore we do not respect their preferences, socialized or natural or both. It has to be about the draws, and it has to be about us getting the draws. Maritally, hopefully maritally. But it has to be about this, as they're screwing for free the guys that they themselves said they don't want and trying to charge us commitment and resources and a lot of work for a hell of a lot less of them draws. It's the draws they're using to discriminate. Not so sly. And we're not required to accept those terms in the name of community. Ask those spirits you talk to about that. I know you can hear them talk back to you. Maybe those spirits told you that black men were traveling to dig out kids. They didn't tell you that in actuality, most pedophiles, especially traveling pedophiles, were white guys who felt above the law in those tropical countries. That's a feeling black men don't have anywhere on the planet. So black men ain't gonna travel to no third world countries to risk going to jail like that. I mean, come on. Lord knows if you or I had to choose between going to prison in Scandinavia and just the U.S., we would choose Scandinavia, any of its nations. So why, if the U.S. is better than third world nations in terms of its prisons, will we travel out of the states to a third world nation to risk going to its prisons? Maybe those spirits should tell you the following. What we red-pilled men have come to understand is exactly what you like to tell us, as if it's some really deep but cold hard truth from which we're running and fleeing and hiding. No. We understand the same reality, sir, in front of us. We understand that they proclaim a set of standards and in pursuit of men that don't meet them while demanding that we pursue them after we've exerted ourselves to meet these standards they proclaim. You want to tell us the truth and then tell us to accept those terms and conditions in the name of manhood. Instead, we red pill aware so-called non-select guys are joined by even some selected guys too in replying to the same truth you want to tell us with this response right here. F what these lying B words want. They could be honest about it and they might get it or not, but since they're lying, their wants don't matter. We didn't lie about what we wanted, and we're not required to be patient so that she can play stupid, nor are we required to play stupid so she can play slick. We're not required to accept anything from them they would not require from us or they would not accept from us. So don't say a damn thing to these young boys about the vagina on your brain. You got the vagina on the brain. The young broads got penis on the brain. They're just willing to share the same few guys while demanding that they never have to share. Then demanding from the others of us a commitment, and they mean it while they cheat with the same few guys they don't mind sharing as long as they can pretend that they're not sharing. Does this make any sense? Or was that too much English for you? Fact is, their very dishonesty is enough, but their preferences are so jacked up that we're not required to respect that either, even if they told the truth, because how could they find the confidence to just outright insist on mutually exclusive things anyway, and then refuse to offer combinations that aren't even mutually exclusive, not even difficult to begin with? I mean, you think about it, we got to be a champion on the streets and in the boardroom. Them two don't go together. But they don't even want to be nice looking and know how to behave. Because guys like you are there to reward the effery after they face the consequences that they don't want but they earned. So again, you failed to be fair, and your only reply is about to be, I already know what you're thinking. Life's not fair. Man up and deal with it. Well, CJ manned up and said something that was still fair to them, and you're telling us that wasn't fair. Checkmate. He manned up and made it fair. Your turn. So additionally, stop asking Edward Anderson to cam up with these women and put these women's business out there to prove something to your high school mentality having behind. I mean, you say you understand them, so you know how susceptible they are to shame. If they were photographed with him at all, you demand to know their identities to prove they aren't his relatives. Then to make matters worse, you probably try to dox them, and if you succeeded in that, then you start to shame the same ones for being with him, since you can't shame him for being with them. You ain't slick, you really ain't sly, and you ain't super. You're on the wrong side of this, bro. As are the men that agree with you. CJ just put them on notice. And out of some gorgeous knockouts, at least the ones who said that they want men to do what he did, compete for him and approach him and try to stand out in his eyes, or he bounces on the demographic block of women altogether and finds someone who at the very least is not going to use her womb to deteriorate the community that you don't want to see catch up with others, because you may want it to improve, but you don't want it to change. I hope that this helps you out. The blackest of the black, black out.